Did you know something pretty amazing about multiple sclerosis, MS? Scientists have found really strong proof that MS is a very rare problem that can happen after someone gets infected with the Epstein-Barr virus, EBV. This virus, which is a type of herpes virus, actually infects over 90% of people worldwide. Hey there! Welcome to another episode of Health Protocol. Today, we've got a really cool and fascinating topic that's pretty hot off the medical press. Among individuals who are EBV positive, those with a history of infectious mononucleosis or with high antibody titers against EBV nuclear antigens have an increased risk of developing MS. So, the topic was multiple sclerosis, or MS. Yep, MS is a neurological, demyelinating disease that we've known surprisingly little about. Information on why you get it, how it progresses, how to diagnose it, and unfortunately, even how to effectively treat it, has been limited. There's really no cure for it. Multiple sclerosis, MS, is an autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system. In people with MS, the body's immune system attacks the insulating layer that surrounds nerve cells, often killing the cells. The underlying cause of MS remains unknown. One possibility is that it's triggered by a viral infection. Epstein-Barr virus, EBV, has been among the top suspects. EBV is a herpes virus that often causes no symptoms. However, it can cause infectious mononucleosis, or mono in some people. After an EBV infection, the virus remains in a latent state within cells and, in some cases, may reactivate. EBV eventually infects about 95% of adults, but very few will develop MS. The breakthrough, MS as an infectious disease. Well, it turns out that MS is actually a type of infectious disease. A very reputable journal called Science published a massive 20-year study this month. Researchers followed 10 million American military recruits for 2 decades. All these recruits had given blood samples at the start of their military careers for mandatory HIV testing every 2 years. I didn't even know that. These blood samples were stored, and the researchers in this study went back and looked for evidence of the Epstein-Barr virus, EBV. Most people might not recognize the name Epstein-Barr, but they've probably heard of one of its most famous diseases, mononucleosis, or the kissing disease. Paul would probably claim he didn't get it in high school, complaining that high school was hard enough. EBV is passed through saliva. Interestingly, it's incredibly common. It's estimated that up to 95% of people have been exposed to EBV at some point. So, if all our blood were tested, 19 out of 20 of us would likely show signs of a past or active Epstein-Barr infection. The link between EBV and MS. Now, you're probably wondering, what do Epstein-Barr, mono, and MS have in common? What did they find, Paul? It turns out that almost everyone they followed who developed MS, which occurred in about 1 in 10,000 in this study, had the Epstein-Barr virus at some point in their life. Essentially, if you didn't have Epstein-Barr, you didn't get MS. They even had cases where initial blood tests were negative, but then individuals went through seroconversion. Their blood became positive for EBV later on. Of the roughly 900 people in the 10 million who developed MS, only one person didn't have EBV, and the researchers thought that might have been an error or an undetected infection. So, the vast majority of the time, if you got MS, you had the Epstein-Barr virus. However, it's crucial to understand that the link only goes in one direction. Having the Epstein-Barr virus does not mean you're going to get MS, but you can't get MS if you don't have the Epstein-Barr virus. Why this matters. People might be thinking, that doesn't really help us much if everyone has EBV and only a small percentage get MS. But it helps us in a couple of very significant ways. Guiding treatment. Knowing that the underlying cause of MS is the Epstein-Barr virus, meaning you caught the virus when you were younger, it lay dormant, and then it resurfaced later to cause MS, can inform treatment. Many current treatments for MS are more generalized. If we can develop specific antiviral treatments targeting EBV, they might be much more effective. Prevention with a vaccine. This is the truly exciting part, perhaps even more so if you don't have MS. We may be able to prevent MS with a vaccine. If we could develop a vaccine that prevents people from getting Epstein-Barr, it would logically lead to a drastic reduction in the incidence of multiple sclerosis. This is absolutely amazing. Think of polio. Polio is an infectious disease with musculoskeletal implications, a paralyzing disease. Similar to MS, it's an infectious disease that causes neurological issues. We largely eradicated polio with a vaccine. While the polio virus is different from EBV, polio enters through the GI tract, EBV through bodily fluids. The core idea is the same. If you vaccinate against it, you can potentially eradicate it one day. It's incredibly exciting. Of course, the timeline from this article's findings to an actual vaccine is still unknown, but it certainly offers immense promise in an area that has long had very little. I think some of the anti-vaxxers out there might get nervous or upset about this, but honestly, it would provide an incredible study. This research couldn't be a simple randomized controlled trial. It just wasn't practical. So, this massive cohort study, comparing those with and without the virus, was the best way to do it. It's truly a groundbreaking piece of literature. So, you might start seeing this story pop up in the media soon, with popular outlets discussing MS as an infectious disease, and you'll already be in the know before all your friends. Infectious diseases have certainly had their time in the limelight over the last couple of years. Leave it to another branch of medicine. How about orthopedic surgery? Come on, give us some front-page headlines. Nope, back to the infectious disease specialist now with MS. But it's very exciting. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and remember, you are in charge of your own health. We'll see you next time.